We want to welcome you to our City Commission regular meeting. We ask that you turn off and silence all cell phones. Meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 at 7 p.m. and at midnight. At this time, we'll have a Pledge of Allegiance followed by a solemn meditation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll have proclamations for the Leavenworth Public School Education Foundation Week and also fire prevention. At this time, we'll have the Leavenworth Public School Education Foundations believe that all parents and community members can participate with the school district to enrich public education, and the foundation seeks to encourage all students to work their highest potential by providing opportunities for unique educational experiences, and the foundation encourages Leavenworth Unified School District number 453 teachers implement innovative instructional strategies by funding original programs and projects, and the foundation is resolved through the administration of its gifts to support education in the Leavenworth Unified School District number 453. I, Jermaine Wilson, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Leavenworth, Kansas, hereby proclaim the week of October the 1st through the 5th, 2018 as Leavenworth Public Schools Education Foundation Week.
Sure. Thank you all. I'm Katie Edwards, members of the commission. I appreciate the time. It really is an exciting time of year as the foundation kicks off our annual campaign. The work we do this fall and spilling over into the beginning of next year funds our programs for next year. So we are celebrating the work from last year's campaign when we were here doing the same recognition and celebration of Foundation Week. We work hard, and then we get to celebrate the fruits of the labor of our partnerships with the community, teachers, staff members, citizens, businesses, patrons. It all comes together to make wonderful things happen in our classroom. So thank you all for allowing us to be recognized and to support and celebrate the Leavenworth Public Schools Education Foundation Week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. T. Birch. We have a proclamation. The City of Leavenworth is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting our city, and fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally. And homes are the locations where people are at the greatest risk from fire. And according to the National Fire Protection Association, home fires accounted for 3,300 deaths and 14,650 injuries in the United States in 2016. And fire departments in the United States responded to approximately 1,342,000 home fires, and working smoke alarm cut the chance of dying in a reported fire in half. And the NFPA recommends at least one smoke alarm on every level of the home, including the basement, outside all sleeping areas, and in all the bedrooms. And then the City of Leavenworth is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire deaths and injuries through prevention and proper education. And the City of Leavenworth residents are responsible to public education, measure, and are able to take personal responsibility to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And the 2018 Fire Prevention Week theme, look, listen, and learn. Be aware, fire can happen anywhere. Works to educate people about 3 basic but essential steps to take to reduce the likelihood of having a fire and how to escape safely in the event of one. I, Jermaine Wilson, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Leavenworth, Kansas, hereby proclaim October the 7th through the 13th, 2018 as Fire Prevention Week.
Thank you. Just like to remind the citizens out there that we have lots of smoke detectors still. If you need one, I don't even like to see anybody go to bed at night without a smoke detector, and we will come out and install it. Also, I'd like to mention, because we've had some tragedy just in the last few weeks regarding fire, and it wasn't a smoke detector they were awake with. The other thing is you've got to always know that you've got to get out when you have a fire. Even if you go out and call the fire department 911 then, or even go to a neighbor, it's critical that you get out. Sometimes the fire will move so fast, it'll actually trap you in there. So that's the other thing I'd like to just remind everybody. And then also, we're starting to get into the fall and the winter seasons where people start kicking off their furnaces and maybe storing lawnmowers and stuff. Make sure you keep flammable liquids and stuff away from your hot water heater and furnace and things of that nature. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to call the fire department. We'll come out and take a look for you at no charge. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, old business, consideration of previous meetings, meeting minutes. Minutes from September 11, 2018, regular meeting. Do we have a motion? Any questions?
I'll move that we approve the minutes from our Tuesday, September 11, 2018 meeting.
Second.
It's been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Griswold.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passed 4-0. Next item on the agenda, new business, citizen participation. Anybody care to discuss any items that is not on the agenda?
Hello, my name is David Walker. I'm the senior pastor of Faith Christian Center International, and I am the chair for the Twin City Initiative. We would like to present a flyer to you. I believe you already have it at your desk. A flyer to you that we would like to present throughout the city with this city logos on there. It's Lansing and Leavenworth logo. Our purpose is to bring a group of civil and spiritual leaders together, that we come together and we're presenting all kind of resources that are available to the citizens of the city. And so we're not asking for any donations from the city. We're just asking to help, that they would help, help us to promote this event. So that's where we're at.
So at this time, we're actually looking at this logo to see if the city could possibly would like to endorse this event, Leavenworth and Lansing combined. I was informed that it's wise that we bring it to the commission to get a consensus, see if it's okay for the city to endorse this.
I think it's a great idea. It'd be okay.
And a motion.
Do we need a motion or just
Do
a
we need a
consensus?
motion or just a consensus?
I'd just like to make a comment that the city does not have a written policy about the use of the city logo. I know some cities do, we do not. In the past, it's been if the city is endorsed or is a part of the event, then the logo is used.
Okay.
That doesn't prevent, it's your decision to make. I just wanted to make that, and at some point, we may decide that maybe that's something we do need to come to the commission and put in some kind of policy, whether it's just put in writing and the city manager approves that. But there is nothing that prevents you from taking some kind of consensus as to whether or not you want to support this, which I know the city of Lansing, I believe,
is.
has already
Yeah, they'll be making
endorsed it, so
We make
I
it
just.
next Thursday, they'll make the same presentation.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Mr. Wilson, we do not have a policy either after all my years. I didn't realize that until we started doing this, and thank goodness, Paul told us, reminded us that, we might wanna do that, because again, it was no funding from either city, so we're in the same situation you are. But this will be presented, and I don't think there'll be any objection, I can't speak for the councilmen, all 8 of the council members, but I think it would be very well supported. We're just trying to get the word out, got some great people working on this committee, and overseeing it. We voted him in before he knew it, and me and Mayor Tim Wilson planned that a few months ago. But it's something we'd like to do every 6 months, but just a way of giving back, and hopefully it can become a semi-annual or annual event. It's nothing but to promote. And a lot of times people talk about two cities were too different. I know almost everybody on this board, and I see Mark's not missing. In the last year and a half, we've worked on so many things together. I think this is just another avenue for us to say that we're all in this together.
And the date is October 20th,
Yes, sir.
and that's at the Kansas City, Kansas Community Pioneer Career Center.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Well, yeah, I think what you're asking is that we support it, and I think, I think you're in a consensus that we do, and that we will help promote it, and that's really all they're asking. We're not a sponsor of it right?
There's no funding that's.
Yeah.
Right, so we're
yes.
just supporting it, and I think this is a good place to promote it because it's on TV and everybody sees that. But I think we need to state again that it is the Twin City Initiative Fall Festival, and it is on October 20, and the time is 10 to 2.
Right.
At the Pioneer Career Center, which is out on 19th and Spruce. So I think we just promoted it.
This is for all business owners, small businesses, nonprofit organizations. If you would like to set up a booth to advertise your business, it's free, no charge, but just trying to really bring some community awareness to the city.
Great. Okay,
Good to go?
I'm good.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to go.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
General items, review properties on demolition lists.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. As you'll remember, on June 26th of this year, the commission reviewed a list of dangerous and unsafe structures for consideration for possible demolition. 3 structures that we're gonna look at tonight were given an extension to complete work on the properties. So we're just gonna take a look at what's gone on with these structures so far. The first is 1728 South 4th Street. It's a single-family home. Since June, significant exterior work has taken place, including new siding, windows, and roof. As you can see from these pictures, there's been quite a change. Staff would recommend that this property be removed from the list of dangerous and unsafe structures as it no longer fits their criteria for demolition. The second property is 407 North 10th Street. Again, with this property, since the commission last reviewed these in June, a significant exterior work has taken place, again, including new roof, windows, and siding. And again, with this one, staff would recommend that it be removed from the list for demolition as it no longer fits the criteria. And then the third is 1030 Iron Molders. This is a 2-story single-family house with a detached shed. The owner is currently in the process of continuing work on this one. Most of the exterior work has been completed, again, including a new roof. You can see it's been a new metal roof on instead of the shingles, new siding, new windows and doors, and they're currently working on the interior of the building. There is a detached shed that still has some property maintenance issues, but staff would recommend that this one go ahead and be removed from the list as well, and let code enforcement staff handle any issues with the shed just through normal code enforcement activities, as the house no longer meets the criteria for demolition. So, staff would recommend that all 3 of these come off the list for demolition. If you have any questions, I can answer those for you now.
Do we do these all together or one at a time?
I believe you can just make one
You
motion.
could do one motion for
If
all
we're okay with
properties
all
if.
3. If the motion is the same, if the action's the same for all of them, yeah.
Have they, the last one, 1030 Iron Molders, has any work begun on the shed?
It doesn't appear that they've changed anything with the shed, but again, our focus is typically with the main
Right.
structure, and code enforcement can handle just the basic property maintenance issues with the shed through our standard violations and court process if that would be necessary. It's never our intention to take down a house.
Right.
And so since the house has been fixed up, we would go ahead and recommend that it come off the list.
Okay.
Any other questions?
But the shed is subject to our ordinances in terms of
Yes.
safety and,
Yes, and staff can still write that up for any violations and proceed with our normal enforcement activities on that.
okay.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion. Begin.
Okay, I move that 1728 South 4th Street, 407 North 10th Street, and 1030 Iron Molders be removed from the demolition list.
Second.
Begin voting with Commissioner Belder.
Aye.
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 Pass 4-0. And please forgive me, at this time, we gotta backtrack and go to the citizen participation. I see that we have another person that would like to speak.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Laguerre. I actually have something that ties in with that.
Address,
Give
name
the
and
address.
address.
Give your address.
Oh, my address?
Yes, ma'am.
915 Osage Street. And I'm coming here today to ask or plead if there is something we can do. I know that they've been working on ordinances with dealing with landlords. I live on the north side of town, obviously Osage Street, and there is a lot of rentals on my street, which you can distinctly see the difference between the rentals and own in my immediate area. My problem is with the houses that are not enforced on anything. I know code enforcement has been out there several times, and the landlord is supposedly trickling that down to the tenant, but things are not getting done. These homes are inhabitable. They shouldn't be allowed anybody in there, yet there's children living in there. And it's becoming a public health nuisance. They have, mice, cockroaches, everything spilling out. My house is fortunately far enough away where they're not to mine yet, but they're in all the light fixtures around it. The house on the other side of them, she would be here without health concerns, but they've invaded her house. We're having to spray, and this home desperately needs some attention, and something needs to be done. It's not right that we are paying our property taxes and we're having to deal with this. There's nothing we can do. And so I've called city code, and they urged me to come here and to let you know what was going on, and hopefully you can give me some guidance as to what can I do, and hopefully what can you guys do.
I think, go ahead.
Do you have a rapport with the tenant that lives in that house? If you can get her or him to call the city hall and invite an inspector in, then maybe we can do something. Until we're invited, there's nothing we can do to the inside.
They have to do it. If it's their house, they have to do it.
But there's
So
some,
they're
there's some
not-
discrepancies though in terms of the outside. The outside,
Well, there's holes on the outside, but there's animals living inside the, from outside. There's plants growing in the windows. So in this house, I've lived in my home. I bought my home 10 years ago, and I've lived there. It's been a parade every few years, and the house doesn't change. The owner doesn't do anything to update. The walls inside are molded out, rotted, and they continue to rent to low-income families. And I don't think they're going to welcome them in. They won't even pay to have their house sprayed or anything, or to clean it up, much less. So I'm fairly certain that's a dead end right
Well,
there.
I'm not talking about the owner, I'm talking about the person that's renting it.
Yes, so am I.
Because they technically own that house for that month when they pay.
They have
the
no
rent.
interest in improving the situation.
So there's nothing code enforcement can do with the
Only with the
outward
outside.
appearance? Yeah.
Julie has
But
to
she
do
said
it.
because there's
Can you
trees.
shed some-
Do you know the address of this particular property?
Yes, it's 911 Osage.
If
You could just add that to your
By looking
demolition
at the
list.
exterior and such, that can give you cause to believe, reasonable probable cause to believe that there is an issue on the inside as well from that, then you can take that to the court and request what's called an administrative search warrant to do that, but that is the process that you would follow. But there is a process to do that, but, essentially, you'd have to show from the evidence on the outside that there's a reasonable suspicion that there are conditions on the inside of the structure that would violate, and then you get a judge to sign. I mean, that's just Fourth Amendment, issues that you have to get a judge to sign off on a search warrant.
Right, and I understand that the city can't just go into anybody's home and look, but at what point does it become when these pests are infiltrating the neighbor's house? At what point does it become a city concern? Because clearly it has to be something. I ask you guys to put yourself in my shoes. If it was your neighbor, it doesn't matter how clean you keep your house, you're gonna have those pests. And I'm at my wit's end here, and
So the specific complaint is for 911 Osage Street, but there's other houses on the street that kind of fall into this category too. Am I hearing you right with that, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Can you shed any light on 9/11 or anything else on?
I can't off the
Okay.
top of my head. I would need to kind of look up what the history on that particular address would be.
And, I mean, I can tell you that it's a landlord, he's got several properties in town and doesn't maintenance any of them. And, you know, there's a reputation there. I've gone to the owner about it, I've talked to the tenant about it, and, everything is amounted to nothing.
Could Julie take a look at it and follow up with it?
Yeah, we'll take a look at any history on it and go by and see what
We'll
we
look
can
at what we need
tell
to do
from
from
the
there.
exterior.
And I'd also say, and I
I'll
support
drive
that.
by there too.
Support that 100%, and well, two to 4 weeks ago, we had a discussion about this, and I would hope that at some point in the future, we'll begin this process of looking at, you know, what we could do a little bit differently in terms of protecting the tenants' safety and quality of life and that type of thing. And this is just an example of why I think that particular issue is very, very pressing. So
It is.
from a larger perspective, we did have a conversation about this 2 to 4 weeks ago, and I'd just like to follow up on that.
Well, from a community health
Right.
perspective as well, yeah. Okay.
Right, and that was my other thing, is at some point it does become a public health hazard, and, so they're exposing everybody in the neighborhood to this.
Yeah, so we'll definitely do a follow-up with you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
Ms.
coming.
Any other citizens that would like to speak at this time? Next item on the agenda, resolutions. Resolution B 2207, Consolidate Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, Caper CDBG.
Mary Dwyer, our Community Development Coordinator, will handle this item.
All right.
Good evening, Commission.
Good
Nice
evening.
to see you. I'm here on behalf of the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. That is the federally mandated report that we have to do each year for the Community Development Block Grant. It's a report that we use to explain to them what we've done with their money, and also the state of housing and housing-related issues in the city. So it's a report that is generated in the federal system. They ask the questions, we do the answers. I think you have a copy of the report. I'd just like to do a couple of the highlights for the program. This year, we did help 12 households with homeownership. So that was a good number for us. Home repair, we did 14 home repairs, including emergency repairs. We did 3 demolitions this year. We helped 6,431 people with public service assistance through the public service agencies that we work with and fund. And then this year they asked us to report on our Emergency Solutions Grant funding, which is a separate federal grant that we get as a pass-through through the state. And we helped 14 individuals with that, parts of households. In addition, the federal government has asked us to do a more expansive look at fair housing, and that includes things like economic development, education, transportation, because they feel like all of those things impact whether someone can find appropriate housing and fair housing, that they have enough choice to be able to find good housing. This year, we, as the city of Leavenworth, worked on transportation. We worked with Mark and the KCATA, Kansas City Area Transit Authority, I think it is. Yeah, I got to think about the A. Anyway, we did a report, we did a study and a report. We came to this body and they put forth the possibility of funding half of the money needed to implement. But when we went to the county, it didn't move anywhere.
So I'm hoping that maybe the two bodies can talk sometime in the future about transportation, and we'll be able to get that to move forward. At this point, I'd like to take any questions you might have of the report and the things that we've done this year, and then I'd like to move forward from there. So we'll start with questions. Any?
No, I don't have any. No, looks good.
I do have a couple questions.
Okay.
One was, one of the programs where we reached out to the community wasn't as successful in terms of.
That's
even though-
correct.
So any other insights other than what you have in your report about what we might be able to do a little bit differently next year to?
We tried direct contact, that is mailing out applications. I mailed out applications without the city logo so that it wouldn't be scary if
Right.
they got it in the mail.
Yeah.
So I just put them in plain envelopes
Sure.
and sent them out. We also did postcard mailings to we got all the addresses on the street, the blocks that we were looking at. And then when we didn't get response in that particular street, we moved up a street and we did the same thing. And we got the same result. So obviously, this wasn't a good plan. I've worked with some of the churches in the area. I think I need to work with more. And I also, I'm open to suggestions. I asked my board the same thing. They gave me a long list. I've got a lot of work to do, according to them, to go out and try and help this out. It's a hard nut to crack because you're trying to reach people who fit within the income guidelines. And some of the seniors are somewhat resistant of the program because of the lien that's placed on there, but that's only to ensure that we don't get people coming and using our money and then flipping the houses. So I'd just like to say to those citizens that are watching this that if you need home repairs and you fall within a low moderate income category, then we encourage you to apply. Last year we did 19 households. This year we only did 14. I would like to see us go back up to 19 or more.
Right.
So please apply. And the worst thing we can do is say no, but generally we are able to work within that. So, and we do basic health and safety things. So we do roofing, exterior, minor exterior repair. We do HVAC systems, electrical, plumbing, sewer lines. That's a big one. So those are the things that we can take care of, and we want to do that with this money.
I think it's a good idea working with the churches. Back when I worked with the Community Development Organization, I used to actually help people fill those out, and they seemed intimidated by the application itself. When we walk through it step by step, that's where I think the churches could really help with that.
Right. And I emailed it out to all the churches that I could get an email address to, saying, winter is kind of coming and this is a program that we have. But we have it year-round. So we can help not just in the winter months,
Right.
but also year-round. So.
Can we talk about money, or are you gonna get to, I was just looking at the reports.
You can certainly talk about money if you want to.
No, I was just.
Are you giving me more?
Now, part of what we just talked about, I think, is that we, and I'm not saying this is criticism, I'm just
No,
stating a fact.
that's okay.
We left about $160,000 on the table, right? Or, I mean, in terms.
No, we don't
So
leave
I'm-
it on the table.
Okay.
We roll it into
We roll it into
the
next
following year.
But
Yes.
if we had been if our campaign had been a little bit more, maybe more successful with people stepping up, we would have used some of that $160,000.
Yeah, last year we got
right?
closer to exactly what we were awarded. We spent most of what we were
Okay.
awarded. The years kind of go up and down. So this year we might do more than we were awarded.
Right.
And that's my hope.
At this time, I entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the resolution for the CAPER 2017-18 for submittal to the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Griswold.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Next item on the agenda, consider bids for 2018 sidewalk improvement projects.
Mike McDonald, take care of this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. This is bringing to the Commission the recommendation for award of the 2018 sidewalk project. This is an annual program we do with funds that are allocated from the sales tax for sidewalk purposes. This is related to a series of projects that have been reviewed by the City Commission's appointed Sidewalk Committee, which was then reviewed with the City Commission earlier this year. The plans were prepared by consultants and were advertised locally and regionally. The low bid is shown on the sheet. It is King's Construction from Oskaloosa, Kansas. And while we have not worked with King's Construction previously, we've seen them in the area bidding other projects and verified references that, in fact, we have every reason to believe that they'll be able to complete the project. And do recommend that the City Commission approve the award to them for the base bid and the alternate bid of $210,227.40. The locations for this project are shown on the second page of the policy report. The area up around Broadway School, which is being rehabilitated, will have new sidewalks. In addition, there's work on Pennsylvania and on Marion Street. And the addition of the alternate is Grand Avenue between Violas and Sherman Street. King's Construction is here this evening if you have questions of them or their firm. And Mike Cooper, who kind of coordinates with the Sidewalk Committee, is here. And we do have a representative from the Sidewalk Committee here this evening as well.
Mike, I assume that you did the background on, because I don't think they've ever done anything for the city before.
That's correct. Now, Mike Stephen and Mike Cooper are familiar with their work in other locations, and they did verify with other agencies. They do a lot of work with KDOT.
Okay.
And also Joe McAfee, owner of MHS Engineers, has worked with them extensively, inspecting their work on other projects, and he made a very strong recommendation that they would be suitable for us.
That's good.
In terms of the recommendations, I mean, in terms of the streets, we dealt with that, 4 or 5 months ago, when the
Right.
Sidewalk Committee
They're
came in
part of our
front the-
list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is in concert with what they recommended to us at that particular
Yes.
time?
Yes, sir. And I believe there was the intent of the commission to have another visit with the Sidewalk Committee in the coming month or 3 to go over priorities and
Right.
approach to projects, and they're working on that as well.
Sounds good.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Good.
I'll go ahead and move that we approve the low bid submitted by King's Construction for the 2018 sidewalk improvements project base bid and alternate number 1 in the amount of $210,227.40.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Bowder.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Next item on the agenda, first consideration ordinance wastewater rate increase.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, this is an increase to the sewer rates or the wastewater rates that was discussed with the commission during preparation of the 2019 budget. And it is a general rate increase of approximately 5%. And the proposed new rates are shown adjacent to the existing rates. The minimum rate for customers that use very little water will be going up 52 cents per month. And most customers fall in that 5 to 7 units of water category, and their rates will go up between $1.06 and $1.42 per month. This is part of the budget preparation. We have provided this information to the waterworks, so it will be effective after passage of second consideration and will be associated with bills that will be mailed out after the 1st of December.
The only question I have is this, the 5%, is this implemented every year? Or is it just based upon the operations?
We go over the rates every year, and, but I don't know, it's not raised every year.
Okay.
That is correct. It has not been raised every year. There's some discussion that maybe we ought to look at it a little closer. I know the city manager has a broader discussion of sewer rates coming up with the commission on how we want to move into the future with the rates. This is kind of what we have done the last few years, is I think a 3 to 5% general rate increase associated with cost of doing business, cost of our employee pay, as well as materials and such that we do buy. So this is fairly typical the last few years, but we have not raised sewer rates every year.
Okay.
And one of the things was this inflow and infiltration work that's been, that this raise in the fee, in the monthly fee, goes to some repairs associated with that function, doesn't it, Mr. McDonald?
It does not go directly to that.
Okay.
This is a general rate increase for all the wastewater, but I wanted to indicate that it's not just the cost of operating the treatment plant. It is the inflow and infiltration budget. It is the equipment that we've purchased to clean the sewers and that sort of thing. So this is not a direct increase to the I&I, if you will, budget.
Do we have a consensus to move forward?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, first consideration ordinance refuse rate increase.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, likewise, the refuse rates were reviewed with the Commission during preparation for the 2019 budget. You may recall that a couple of things have happened in the last couple of years that have impacted our rates. This rate increase is an 8% proposed rate increase, which is higher than we have normally seen. There's a couple of things that impact that. The first one is that we recommended that we needed to trade in some of the newer refuse collection vehicles kind of ahead of our expected 10-year cycle. Basically, they were high maintenance with some early versions of the pollution equipment that's required. So that got us into buying an extra truck out of cycle, and the trucks are something on the order of $100,000 a piece. And the county has raised the rates substantially at the transfer station beginning January 1st. We intend to transport the refuse to Waste Management Landfill in Shawnee, which is less expensive to the city than taking it to the transfer station. However, it is an increased cost over what we have been doing this year. And as a consequence, we are recommending that the City Commission approve an 8% rate increase to go into effect. And this will be co-billed with Waterworks on those bills that are mailed out after the 1st of December. The increase goes from $16.87 per month to $18.22 per month, which is $1.35 per month per living address.
Any questions or comments?
No, we voted for this as part of
Right.
the approving the budget, but
I hate having to raise the rates, I really do, but I know that
right.
we have to replace our equipment and
I'm
we have
not,
to.
yeah, I'm not
yeah.
going, all I would say is that we're gonna take a real hard look next year. I would prefer not to have to make it three years in a row. I thought this
Yeah,
was
right.
primarily driven by this problem with the refuge truck.
It is
With the
primarily,
transfer
but
station.
Yeah, and the transfer
yeah,
station.
the truck and the transfer station combined really beat us up on our expenses that we were gonna see next year, this year as well, and going into next year.
Right, the county transfer was huge, that, when they raised that was huge.
Yeah,
for
that was
us.
an additional $100,000 a year that would be taken from the city budget and given to the county's budget.
Right,
But we're going to the other,
At least for something less than 100,000, it'll net
Right.
out something less than 100,000.
because we are gonna go to the one in
Shawnee, yes.
Shawnee.
from here on out. The other question I have is just, I should know the answer to this, but we're gonna start collecting this revenue in December, Ms. Williamson? And how does that, if we started collecting it on the 1st of January, we wouldn't get 12 months of collection? Or that's the way it says, we're gonna take, to ensure that a full year of revenue is collected in 2019 and is necessary for the ordinance to be, it's proposed that the rate increase take effect on December 1st, 2018. So I'm just, I'm just trying to
You know,
understand
I
that.
have to ask
We've-
Mike, I know we always.
We've
do
traditionally
that.
tried to keep our budgeting based on a calendar year, and the waterworks cycle of billing, they mail out bills several times per month.
Okay,
And we worked this out with them eons ago, that if we just stick with the same, if we want to get a year's worth of revenue, just make it effective the first week in December. It could be some other time should the commission choose to do that, but you don't catch necessarily, some people,
oh,
because they'd be staggered, and somebody might get a lower rate for an extra month if.
so to get a year's worth of revenue, we're saying basically we need 13 months. I mean, we need to
Well,
bill
it'd be,
13 months.
if we raise the rates next year, I don't know if we will, but it would probably take effect December, bills mailed in December as well, so you have the same kind of starting point, and a big
Well,
circle comes
You know,
around.
if the bills start in December, you'd be starting to get revenue in January, especially if
Yeah.
it's later in December.
Is that, okay, I was thinking December, if it was like December, we would be paying in December, but it is,
The
I
bills
think
will be going out.
they're about a 2-week period between their bills mailed out and when they're due.
okay.
And so there may be some revenue comes in 2018.
But most of it would come in the month of January 2019?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got it. That's about it. I don't have any other questions.
Good. You have a consensus to move forward?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Next item on the agenda, consent agenda, Commissioner Griswold.
yes. The most significant claim / expenditure was the $50,000 matching grant that the city commission approved for the Alliance Against Family Violence. That was on today's claims report. So I'll go ahead at this point and make a motion that we approve claims for September 8th, 2018 through September 21st, 2018 in the amount of $613,535.22. Net amount for pay number 19 effective September 14th, 2018 in the amount of $329,142.31. No police and fire pension.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Begin voting with Commissioner Bowder.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Any other question, comments among the commissioners?
I have nothing for this evening.
Nothing?
I don't have anything.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.